Forgive me if I seem a little bit overexcited today because we're here in Copenhagen for the ID Buzz and ID Buzz Cargo, which we're getting a first look at on the channel. This one is lime green. Obviously there's two-tone colours going on with bits of white on it. Every so often there's a car or a van in this case that comes along and can't help but put a smile on your face. And everywhere you go in this, that's exactly what happens. Absolute pleasure to show you around today on the ID Buzz. So if you haven't hit subscribe to the channel yet, please do. That would be absolutely deadly because we're on the way to 30,000 subs and you can help that. Couple of things. So LED lights are standard on the car. You can get 18-inch up to 21-inch alloys. There's a fantastic turning circle going on with this. I'll explain all in a second. Black mirror housing. The doors on both sides electrically open, and that is as standard. Very easy, just runs along the runners and you hop into your three-person bench back here. Plenty of leg room, plenty of cargo room. There's tray tables, there's things for storing devices, and it's just really simple system to use. It's quite tall. Front to back it's 4,712 millimeters from the very edge to the very back. It's got a towing capacity of 1,000 kilos. The all-wheel drive version that's coming at the end of next year will tow 2,800 kilos. Three little black pieces just sit on that rear pillar. Your charging port is here. It will do up to 170 kilowatt charging. So if you find Ionity or something fast like that, you'll get from 5 to 80% in 30 minutes. And it does 11 kilowatt charging. Also, you can find those on street public chargers. Tailgate is thankfully electronic, and there's also a tow hook available here, so you can just manually push it in, but there is a button here that you press and out it pops. It's just over 1,100 litres for standard cargo space in the back. That goes over to 2,000 if you drop down your middle row of seats. The cargo version of the van is 2,123 litres for your space because you've only got two seats, obviously. These raise up, you can store cables and other belongings that you might want to have here. The branded Volkswagen, you can obviously remove these. You can hide extra bits under the floor and they just gently close down on some hinges. 12 volt charging, little shopping hooks, of course it would need them. Lights inside and a removable parcel shelf as well that you can also just tuck out of sight if you don't need it. There's also these retro style grab handles, little nod back to the Beetle even inside the cabin. And you can obviously use that for a bit of shelter if you need to stand under your Buzz. White lettering on the back of it, red rear daytime running light and nighttime light, a little bit of a boot spoiler. I mean, it's just such a fun looking thing, it really is. What are you thinking at this first look? Leave a comment down below. Is it just capturing all the retro vibes? Have they managed to get it right? Now let me explain how the back of the Buzz works very simply. So you got loads of space for your legs. You can adjust the seat, give yourself a bit more space in the back should you need to. You can also adjust how the angle of these seats work, so you might want to sit a little bit more upright or more laid back. That's entirely up to you. There's no armrests that are in the front here. That would be a nice little addition, but there's plenty of stuff for you all the same. So you have tray tables, you can have a little groove there for holding a device. You can tuck things away here. There's further storage back here, so you know it's pretty quirky. Now there's plenty of USB points around the car, USB-C dotted in the pockets of the doors in the back and the front also, so you really are well covered. These are the retro Jesus handles or grab handles that I was talking about. Very reminiscent of the Mark I Golf and the Beetle as well. A little bit of a modern edge to them, but it's a nice little throwback to obviously the first van as well. So head space, it's pretty good actually. There's plenty of it. A glass roof would really be lovely, but I wonder actually is it kind of snugger, and does it just work a little bit better without one? Not too sure, but very cozy place to sit. When you open the driver's door, the seats, these are electric memory seats. It'll just move back a little bit for you. There's also leg extenders, thigh support extenders on the back of them. Lovely, very comfortable seats. Ergo Volkswagen seats in the back. It's a little bit of a climb up into the seat. I won't lie to you. And you get your Volkswagen jingle. There's twice, in fact. There's a holder, ashtray holder, dividers that you can decide exactly how much space you want here, and there is a button for what exactly, I don't know. Does that adjust at all? That'd be interesting if that. So this doesn't move forward or backwards, in case you were expecting that. These are the armrests I was mentioning. You can adjust them. There's a nice feel to them. No animals have been used for any of the leather inside the ID Buzz, and really on the steering wheel it's pretty impressive. You wouldn't necessarily know if there's any difference. Cup holders are down here. Just pull out your tray, and actually if you're using them then you have a bit more storage inside. There's 2 more USB-C ports here. Decent support for your arm. A little bit of a different stalk on either side compared to the ID 3, 4 and 5 for example, but a lot of the other buttons and this central infotainment screen all identical. Nice materials used on the inside, I have to say. It makes the ID 3, you know, kind of a little bit questionable in terms of the interior, because yeah, you still get bits of hard plastic down here, but overall it's very nice. Brushed aluminium and nice different colours going on. Good sized glove box which is down here. A bit more storage here. There's a pad for stopping stuff slipping away, and it really is you know, it's great sitting position higher up. Plenty of headspace again for drivers. All the usual bits like programming your charging times and swarm data, which is now on 3.2, which is the latest software on these. They will leave the factory in Germany with that software. Swarm data, travel assist, which works beautifully. It keeps up with traffic, obeys speed signs, slows down, speeds up according to motorway limits, all that stuff, all contained, and it really makes it a very, very simple vehicle to drive. Don't be put off by the size of it. It's actually quite okay to be behind the wheel of, which we're going to do now. The turning circle is a whole big ball of fun. As I've just demonstrated there. It's incredibly smooth. For something that weighs 2.5 tons, it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't drive like it. The steering is so light. It's so nippy with the 204 brake horsepower. 0 to 60 is 10 seconds or so, but it's not really the point. It's a car that you're just going to kind of cruise around in. It's a car to be seen in. Everywhere you go, there's just smiles from people as it goes by. I've no doubt this lime colour will help. This bright vibrant colours though, the orange actually looks really good in the cars I've seen here today as well. It's a 77 kilowatt hour usable battery, so nothing unfamiliar there. That's good for a range of about 425 kilometers, say Volkswagen. It's definitely doing the consumption that they claimed it would, so 23 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. I've done a good bit of motorway driving today, headed across into Sweden, across one of the most famous bridges in Europe. Just stuff that we just don't get in Ireland. So even that in itself was a wonderful novelty, and I've just really enjoyed it. It's as I said, it's very, very smooth. You kind of forget about the size of the vehicle once you get used to driving it, and that doesn't take very long at all. And like, you're never going to be in this and not feel like you're in something quirky, no matter how long you've had it for. You can't get 21 inch in the van when it comes to alloys, but you can in this version of it. Now, it's definitely hard, you know, so choose your wheel size carefully. They do look the best, but if you're going to be on roads that aren't amazing quality, it's definitely something to bear in mind. It's not as efficient, obviously, as an ID4 and ID5 due to the aerodynamics. There's a decent enough drag figure on the car, but it's still not kind of, you know, hatchback or that kind of style of vehicle. It's going to use a bit more energy. limited to 145 kilometers per hour. I think that's probably enough, to be honest with you. Obviously, if you're watching this in Ireland, it's irrelevant. You'd be breaking the speed limit. If you're watching it in Germany for an autobahn or something. But at that speed, you know, it does have a decent low centre of gravity, but there's still, you don't know the fight physics either. Plenty of safety aids, frontal collision avoidance, rear parking sensors, there's blind spot, so plenty of safety stuff to help you out if you do feel potentially overwhelmed by the size of it. One area this ID Buzz would be absolutely phenomenal as is a taxi. You know, all the space in the back, carrying airport runs with suitcases. It's going to be cheaper to run than a normal taxi, and just the size of it, like you just can see it living in that space and being an absolute workhorse. But equally, if you're a family who likes outdoors and adventures and you got dogs, and it's priced at a point, it's not a cheap vehicle by any means, but it's priced at the point where an awful lot of similar electric vehicles, even petrol vehicles of this size, are now living. And then you've got the fact that it's going to be cheaper to run it. The swarm data works really well. Bit of traffic later on, it tells you how long you're going to be held up for. Very similar to anything you might experience on Google Maps or stuff, but it's nice to have it built in to the system itself. I do love these little armrests. They make everything feel comfortable, and I've covered quite a few kilometers, almost 100 kilometers in the ID Buzz this morning, and it's a pleasure. It really is. Very, very smooth, very, very comfortable, and as I say, great fun, and just that calmness that an electric vehicle gives you. There's very little not to like. It really is a quirky piece of kit, and I love it. I really do love it. Absolutely brilliant. In terms of the charging, it is impressive where just technology has come in a few short years. It's not that long ago since the ID3 was 100 kilowatt charging. Now we're at 170 where chargers allow in Ireland. I know we need an awful lot more of those chargers, and here in Denmark and across the border in Sweden, but particularly Denmark, I'm not saying electric vehicles are everywhere, but the charging options are everywhere. Everywhere you go on a map here, I can see 22 kilowatt, like they're absolutely everywhere. Not a huge amount of fast chargers, but in Circle K's and stuff, you'll find plenty of Ionities and things like that. So it's well covered. It's almost like the charging infrastructure here is actually ahead of the amount of cars that are on the road that are BEVs. If you're one of these people who's been waiting for this for years, I'm sure you'll want to test drive it, but just go ahead and stick your order in. I promise you, you will love it. And you know, it's not often cars actually make you chuckle and smile, and every time you look at this, you look back at it as you park it and you just go, that's mine, that's my car, and it's bloody deadly. Thank you very much for coming with us this far in the review. Quick sum up, and if you haven't hit sub, please do. ID Buzz, absolute hoot. I love it, I love it, I love it. Plenty of power, so fun looking. Price from just over €65,000 for the passenger version of it. There's an all-wheel drive version coming. The cargo version is about 45,000, and it's just fun. I mean, I don't know how many they're going to sell. Just the throwback to the front of the hippie van like this, with the faster charging, the quirky bits on the inside. It really is fun, and it's a great alternative, particularly to people that really like a big boot. You look at certain cars, like take for example an ID5 or a Skoda Enyaq. If you spec it up, you're not going to be far off the price of this, but this is just more fun to look at, more fun to live with, and it's a very, very exciting car. It's been brilliant to have a first look at it here in Copenhagen. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, do you love it? Are you not sure? Is it too much compared to the original Volkswagen camper van version of it's going to be absolutely brilliant. So look, if you get a chance to check one out, you're interested, do. Any thoughts or comments, please leave them down below. A sub would be amazing, and I'll talk to you on the next one.